This has been a mess. We got this Charmin Obaid-Chinoy crap right at the top of the year, who may have injected herself on CNN, and CNN was more than happy to comply. Tom, I just saw your private message. Thank you. I'm trying to hold that one in.
Excelsior! All right, well, let me get to this for you, Valiant, so you can go take care of the puppy.
Birds and stuff. Okay, so
right.
but yeah,
Clean the
I mean,
windshield.
look, obviously we all, Tom, you and I, Michelle, everybody, we all had the same reaction when they came out with the Star Wars announcement for this Jon Favreau film. Is this going to replace Mando Season 4? Is it going to be Mando Season 4? Will there still be a Mando Season 4? Is it split? What? Everybody knew whatever it was all an obfuscation. It was a media PR swipe left of the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy Rey movie that was a Bob Iger initiative. And we talked about before, Pro, you might want to remind people of that initial rumor that you broke a year ago.
Exclusive with the Echo-based network folks and Lauren, with you in the background laughing it up because you knew what I was going to tell them, and it didn't make anybody happy.
You've got to re-edit that video with me eating the chips as you're saying. I did the whole chip eating thing
100%. We need to bring it back. Greatest hits album on the way.
There you go. You need to make a clip of it. So let me let you talk about this because this has been one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Obviously, this was designed to get the bad news of Charmin Obaid-Chinoy off the front page for Star Wars.
Valiant, and as you do, as you leave yours on there,
you've got control.
I'm going to come back to it.
Go ahead.
I want to go to this article out of That Park Place, which, by the way, take a look at that beautiful ad on the right side featuring one handsome fellow. Who is that guy? But this will be a good way to explain it, folks. Here's what we think is happening. We've got lots of sources we've been talking to, and here's how it is all laid out. Lucasfilm right now is saying that they have never in the history of the studio have they had so many projects being worked upon at once. We're here to tell you we think that's a bunch of malarkey. We think that they are scrambling, and tremendously so. And here's why. What we think has been going on is that they brought in the Rey movie. That was their desire to get that going. Bob Iger probably wanted that to be done. Kathleen Kennedy happy to do so. The issue was that what we think has happened is that they've had two different scripts, and neither one has been up to snuff. One done under Damon Lindelof, the other under Stephen Knight. Now, the Bespin Bulletin has been reporting that there is no script. I tend to agree with that, but that needs a bit of nuance because I think there was a script. I think there were two scripts. Now I think there's no script because neither of those worked. Here's where things get interesting. I believe, based on the sources that we've been talking to, that Charmin Obaid-Chinoy likely knew sometime in December that the Rey movie was likely to be pushed back, maybe even put onto Disney Plus. And she didn't like that. And so as an activist, the way that she wanted to approach fixing that was to get out there and be active and to do a press tour where she said, in 2024, finally it's time for a woman to shape Star Wars. Okay. And so that is sort of where we've been. Now, what did Disney and Star Wars, what did Lucasfilm do to fix the problem of, we've got a Rey movie, we've got a theatrical window, but we don't have a Rey movie that we can actually put out there. And what do you do if you're Disney and you're looking at this and you say, we can put this out there, but based on the track record of Lucasfilm and based on this character and based on the market analysis and risk assessment we've done, we're going to lose like $300 to $400 million on this. It's going to be a laughingstock. It's going to destroy Star Wars after being on hiatus for 7 years. Well, if you're in a situation where you're about to be in front of investors, folks, listen closely. We're going to have an earnings call in February. We're going to have investors coming in after that. Disney was looking at the chance that they would be gravely embarrassed. And so, despite the fact that the Rey movie could not go forward as it was currently constituted and needed more time in the oven, Disney decided to shame the shills, leave them out in the cold because they were all joining forces with Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. And Disney decided to say, what if we took the season finale for The Mandalorian Season 4 and we retrofit it? We retrofit Season 4's finale to be a movie. And what if we cut The Mandalorian Season 4 down to just 6 episodes then? Now, that I believe that's actually what is happening. But that's not the worst of it, and we're working on the story a bit more. We hope to bring something out very soon, confirming some more of the stuff that's going on. We've got at least 2 angles that are not nailed down. Probably Wednesday, I'll be able to break some more stuff on this. But all of that said, there's a real danger now in what they're doing. The real danger is that, let's say that season 4 is lackluster, the first 6 episodes, like season 3. Remember Lizzo, everybody? Remember that? You remember how Mandalore was not quite as exciting as you hoped?
I tried to forget.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case with season 4, it damages the box office opportunity for the movie. Another issue here. I'm trying to think how I say this because I can't break part of this. Okay, what if either season 4 or the movie don't look the way that they should because you're now splitting a Disney Plus show and a movie into 2 different things, right? So either you're going to have to make the series look like the movie and the movie has to look better than a Disney Plus show, or you have to make the movie look like it's a Disney Plus show. You don't like one of those 2 things has to happen or else you have incongruity. That is the issue that they're facing and many more, which we hope to break very soon. But all of that said, there's 2 rumors out there that I want to dismiss of when it comes to Star Wars. The first is I want to dismiss of the idea that Jon Favreau has been asked to take over Lucasfilm or that he's coming in to save the day or anything like that. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I think that Jon Favreau was contractually obligated for a season 4, and because they're going to retrofit in a haste the last 2 episodes of season 4 into a movie, therefore Jon Favreau is the director of the movie. Now, I think he's happy to receive whatever money he's getting, but I don't think that Jon Favreau is coming in to replace Kathleen Kennedy. I think you can put that to bed.
Oh, hell no.
He's not even an employee of Lucasfilm. So for these people out there who are trying to say that, Jon Favreau is leading the charge at Star Wars and everything, all the directions, no. Kathleen Kennedy's number 1, Dave Filoni's number 2, and Jon Favreau is not part of Lucasfilm, period. He's contracted work. And then the second thing that I would like to put to bed is this idea that the Rey movie is now no longer happening. For the sake of Star Wars, I wish that was happening, but that would be damaging to Bob Iger and his legacy. He wants the sequel trilogy to be popular. Here's what I think's happening, and Tom, Michelle, this is where I would really like to get your opinions on this. I think part of why they had to delay the Rey movie is because they realized that Rey, not Daisy Ridley, because I think Daisy Ridley is lovely, but Rey the character is boring, milquetoast, lackluster, mundane, stoic. And I think they need a character to strap Rey to make the Rey movie work. And that character is Baby Yoda. It's the only character they have. And so they're going to strap Rey to that character in order to make her movie be successful. Because both of you, I mean, what other character right now, besides Luke, which they will not bring back other than in cameo form, what other character do they have that would actually drive people to the box office?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the sequel trilogy era, none.
Right. So you've got to do the baby Groot to teenage Groot thing with Baby Yoda. You've got to age Baby Yoda up a little bit, hopefully skip the acne stage, and strap him to Rey as a merchandising tool. Because if you put just Rey out there, look at what the Marvels did. Rey is not any more popular or less popular than Captain Marvel. It's about the same. A Rey movie is going to max out at somewhere around $220 million for its box office potential. You can't make a Star Wars movie for that amount. Tom, are you hearing anything else beyond what I'm suggesting?
I have a little bit of a different take on it, and most of this is just observation by reading tea leaves of things that we know.
Tell us about the tea leaves.
Basically, I'm to this point where I'm even starting to wonder, not to like feed into any kind of conspiracy theories at all, but I am starting to wonder how much Bob Iger really wanted a Rey movie to begin with now. Because I think what we're learning here slowly, especially now that Benioff and Weiss have come out and talked about their experience over there at Lucasfilm, and we know
now James Mangold apparently wants to rip off their idea.
Well, here's the thing: is I don't know if it's so much ripping off as I think they have like a little set list of things that they want to do, and unless somebody fits in that little mold, then they're not going to work for them.
Right,
and I think that's where Benioff. I think that's where Benioff and Weiss came in before, and then when their show tanked, they got booted. Then Mangold took over that project. We saw Damon Lindelof take off from the Ray project because obviously his treatment or whatever didn't jive with what they were wanting. So then they, restarted there. I don't know if it's Steve DeKnight or whoever it is working on it now.
Right. And,
But
and Tom, the reason I think that we had scripts in the past is because Lindelof is credited already. And because
That's
he's
what I'm
credited,
saying.
he had to have produced something.
And that's where I was wondering, because some people were even saying, well, he was never even working there. And I was like, I don't know about that. But point being, I think they have like a set idea of certain things they want. And I mean, these creatives present the idea like it was their idea, but I don't think that's the case necessarily. I think since the beginning of time, they've had a set list of like 5 to 10 ideas that they've been wanting to do. Boba Fett being one of them, Solo being another, obviously. And Boba Fett kind of became Mandalorian once Jon Favreau tapped Bob Iger and said, hey, I kind of got this idea for Star Wars. And this is where I think this is my kind of overall idea of what I think happened from then on forward. Because that was about the same time that Bob Iger said, the buck stops with me and we're going to slow down and I'm going to reassess Star Wars going forward. And that was kind of the only time publicly that Kathleen Kennedy had any kind of real smackdown, even though her name was never mentioned that I could recall at that time. But at that
Take a look at
point,
this, Tom. This goes right in with what you're saying, not to interrupt, but this just fits exactly what you're saying. If you take a look at these 2 paragraphs out of thatparkplace.com, while all indications seem to indicate that this new Jedi Order film would be the first Star Wars film to go into production since Rise of Skywalker, there were rumors that Disney executives were terrified the film would end up like the Marvels. The Brie Larson-led film only grossed $199.8 million at the global box office, according to the numbers, despite having at least spent $274.8 million on its production budget alone. The movie is clearly a massive loss for Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company. What you're saying is that the C-suite would get engaged then, especially post-Marvels, because you can't have these kinds of losses.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, going back, Bob Iger said the buck stops with me. That's when Favreau got involved. KK, and this is per her own words, basically wanted Filoni involved. That was her insistence. From that point forward, things were going well. KK was being distracted by Blood and Bone, and then Chapek made the dumbest decision he ever made when he was in office. And he said, forget this Blood and Bone thing. Get over here and worry about Indiana Jones and Star Wars. And at that moment, we know everything went off the rails because that's when Gina Carano was ousted. That's when Jon Favreau's plans went out the freaking door. And from that moment on, I don't feel like Jon has been a major player in this program. Like, yeah, Boba Fett was just going through the motions to get the baby back into the story. Season 3 was horrendous. I only watched the first episode, never finished it.
You really missed out on all things.
And we know Filoni's going to get his movie. But here's my thing here. This past week before this news dropped, we got the Shabade Anoy out there talking crap about Star Wars again, getting everybody fired up. And that was getting really bad press. And I mean, extremely bad press. So I think that Bob Iger insisted that Favreau do him a solid and do a Mandalorian.
I'm glad you
Grogu movie
with
because go back
side.
and think about this now, because for the longest time, what did we keep hearing? That Mandalorian doesn't necessarily mean the character Din Djarin, or however the fuck you say his name. Sorry,
Din Djarin. Yeah,
Din Djarin.
It's all right.
It could mean any Mandalorian. So we've already known that they're going to probably take him out of the series in the 4th season and have what's her face, Katie Sackhoff take over. I can't remember the character she plays. And I think that's Bo-Katan. And I think that's what season 4 is going to be, if we even get a season 4. And this is just Favreau just doing whatever's left over that he had story-wise ideas with Mando and the baby. And
I don't think they know
this is Bob Iger's idea basically at the last minute, because they would have announced this at D23 otherwise if this had been in the cards prior to this.
So
I
to me, this
don't
feels like it all came together after the
think
strike, it feels like.
Yeah, I don't think they know what they're doing yet, Tom. And I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%.
Plus, they knew they had an extra year there, yeah.
I've got something. Yeah. I'm waiting on a second source so that I can corroborate it. Wednesday.
I was going to throw that at you.
You're going to want to know what, because it just gets worse. Wait till Wednesday.
Yeah.
So between what you're saying about the money with the Rey movie, with I think the reaction they had this last week, this may have been in the cards a little bit before this, but I don't think this was in the cards prior to the strike. I don't think this was ever going to be something they were going to do prior to this. And when they knew they had a window open, Bob's like, I got to get a movie in there. Please, for the love of God. The only thing we've got is Mando and this baby. Jon Favreau needs to direct one of these movies. I think it was an insistence on his part. So I'm not so sure he's too keen on the Rey movie to begin with.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.